Hello there folks, and welcome back to Nature Explained. I'm your host Jake, and in today's feature we'll be heading to the Antarctic to learn about the second largest species of penguin on Earth, often confused with their cousin the emperor, but themselves fascinating. Stick around to the end and I'll tell you the truth about the world famous Pesto the penguin. Ruin your day. Now, grab your Arctic coat, sunglasses, and begin to learn about the king penguin, the heir apparent of the seabirds. King penguins are natives to the Arctic Circle and have been classified as marine birds. Much of their lives are spent out at sea, but to breed they need to go to land. Technically, this could be anywhere south of the equator, but king penguins prefer grass and shrublands. When choosing a nesting ground, often these are isolated islands, are commonly found in the regions surrounding the Arctic, including the Falklands and South Georgia to name some. But king penguins have been found in southern Argentina and Chile, parts of Brazil, Uruguay, South Africa, as well as Australia and New Zealand, and obviously the central continent of Antarctica. When they're not on land, they will spend most of their time out at sea looking for food. King penguins are around 70 to 100 centimetres tall, making them the second largest species in the world, beaten only by their cousin, the emperor. They can weigh between 9 to 8 kilograms. You may be surprised to learn that despite this species looking the same between the sexes, there are actually sexual dimorphism at play, particularly in the size of males, who are slightly larger than females in terms of weight. Although, this is nothing compared to the emperor, with king penguins being on average 25% shorter and often weighing 1/3 less. Their back feathers are black because when swimming, it provides camouflage from predators looking down into the sea. It is for the same reason that their chest feathers are white, providing them the ability to blend into the sunlight. As mentioned earlier, king penguins, to the average eye, look very similar to their cousins, the emperor, but there are some ways you can tell the two apart. Firstly, mentioned size. If it is bigger, presume it's an emperor. But also the cheek pattern, which in the emperor will be solid yellow, but in kings will be orange. Another identifier will be the chest, in which both species have a blend of yellow and orange, but in the king penguins it is more orange. The reason for the orange in this position, as well as on the face, so other penguins can distinguish between individuals. Another way you can tell the two apart is by looking at the lower mandible, which will be orange for king penguins and pink for emperors. King penguins are unique among birds, as they have a square pupil when constricted. The reason for this is that their eyes have adapted to see in low light regions, and like most penguins, have flat corneas, allowing for better vision in the depths of the sea. King penguins have claws on their feet. The reason for this is because it grants them better grip on both ice as well as slippery rocks when leaving the water. Much like most animals, king penguins have evolved a variety of tools to survive. First of these is a long straight bill. The reason for this is because it allows extra reach when catching fish. They also have evolved flippers in place of wings. The reason for this is that it allows king penguins to propel themselves through the water. Coupled with the sleek hydrodynamic body, they can cut through the water at a top speed of 7 miles per hour. King penguins can dive up to 400 feet below the water in search of food. To maintain this depth, they've evolved larger lungs and can hold their breath for up to 23 minutes, although this does depend on the depth of the dive. King penguins' dives are in the shape of a U, diving down to depth looking for food before returning to the surface for air. Likewise, all king penguins walk by wobbling. This is the result of them evolving to spend most of their time at sea, and because they have shorter legs. Balance is a struggle. The wobbling allows them to move more efficiently without falling over, although, when on ice, they will slide on their bellies for increased efficiency. It may surprise you to learn that a king penguin can live for up to 25 years. A key part of this is their diet, which is a well-balanced diet of fish, 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 and guess what? That's right, more fish. You think I'm joking, but during most of the year, 80% of the king penguin's diet is fish. Specifically lanternfish, named as such because of the bioluminescent blotches all over their body. Per day, a king penguin can consume around 400, but that can go up to 2,000 fish per day. Aside from this, king penguins will also eat squids, krill, and crustaceans, particularly during the summer months of July to August, where there are fewer fish. They will flip back to mostly fish outside of summer. Hey there folks, quick interjection from me. If you're enjoying today's video, you know what to do. Hit that like and subscribe button. It shows we're doing something right. If you don't, a king penguin will be sent to your location to peck out your eyes. And if you want us to cover a specific animal, drop a comment below, and I'll add it to the list. Now with that done, let's get back to the video, as we jump into some unique behaviours of the king penguin. Unlike other subspecies of penguin, king penguin colonies are occupied all year round, because of the length it takes for the chicks to grow up. When hunting, a king penguin will use its keen vision, as well as just using their powerful flippers to propel them into a school of fish. King penguins are diurnal and will sleep by taking lots of little naps during the day. King penguin colonies will be found on remote subarctic islands. This is because, usually on these islands, there are no predators, allowing them to leave their young in safety. And when you consider a single colony will have up to 100,000 individuals, that's a lot of babies. King penguins tell each other apart because of their calls, which are different depending on the gender, which comes in handy during the breeding months of September through to November, as this is when the breeding season for king penguins begins. Courtship involves a variety of bowing heads, preening, as well as calling at one another, which sounds as if they're screaming. But don't take my word for it. For your pleasure, I give you the call of the king penguin. King penguins will mate once per season, and will stay with that same partner for as long as they're raising the chick. Although, after the chick is grown, they will go their separate ways. Although rare, they could repair the next year, although this only happens 30% of the time. Once they have mated, the pair will return to sea for a while, until they return to the colony between November through to December. The females will lay a single white egg. King penguin incubation lasts for 54 days on average, with parents sharing incubation responsibilities, swapping every 6 to 8 days, because they don't make nests, much like emperor penguins. King penguins have a brood pouch, and will balance the egg on their feet. They do become territorial during this time, so will space themselves out in pecking distance from their neighbour. This also helps to prevent egg theft. It's a long process for a king penguin to hatch, with it taking around 1 to 2 days. When they're born, they lack feathers, so chicks spend the first 30 to 40 days in the brood pouch, balancing on their parents' feet, transferring between parents every 3 to 7 days. At this point, they can only eat regurgitated food from their parents. After these 30 to 40 days, king penguin chicks will develop a thick brown coat, allowing them to be left alone by the parents, as they want to freeze to death. However, chicks will form a group called a crash. At the point where the parent returns, the chick will be able to tell their parent based on their specific call. By April, king penguins will have grown to their full size, but will still be reliant on their parents. And once winter comes, the chick will lose much of their weight. At around 14 to 16 months, the brown fur will begin to molt off, and the adult coat will begin to develop. At this point, the chick's parents will leave it to become independent. This usually happens in the summer months, where the food is fairly abundant, increasing the chick's chance of survival. After 3 years, king penguins will reach sexual maturity, although most don't breed until around 5 to 6 years old. And it's fairly impressive that a chick has survived, when you consider that there are a plethora of animals that will eat king penguins, most famous of which is the giant pesto, which will eat unattended small chicks, eggs, alongside sick and injured adult birds. Skuas, kelp gulls, and snowy sheathbills will also target eggs and chicks. In the sea, there are 3 main predators of the king penguin. These are the leopard seal and the killer whale, which are the main threats. Although fur seals have been recorded hunting and eating king penguins. Although, arguably, the biggest threat to the king penguin is people. Before we get on that downer, it's worth talking about some cool facts I found about king penguins while researching this video. Firstly, it's worth talking about the word penguin. Penguin is a Welsh compound word. When broken down, respectively, pen is Welsh for head, and gwyn is Welsh for white, coming together to make head white. The reason for this name is because, where they were discovered, there was a species called the great auk. It is a similar looking animal to the penguin, but it's not closely related, and is a case of convergent evolution. And because they looked similar, hence they were given the name. Now, the great auk is extinct, and all that remains of this legacy is the name of a bird half a world away. What I also found quite interesting was that the closest living relative of the penguins are albatross and common gulls. Because humans fight penguins cute, there are many funny stories about them. First of which is Major General Sir Niels Olvad, who, whilst living in Edinburgh Zoo, is the mascot of the Royal Norwegian Guard. There is also Layla, which was adopted by a Japanese family after she was caught in a fishing net. Was famous for having a backpack and would independently walk to the local fish market, buy fish, have the fishmonger put it in her backpack, and then walk home. Although, in recent months, another famous penguin has entered this hallowed hall, that being Pesto, the Australian-based king penguin living at Melbourne Zoo. He became famous because, well, to put it bluntly, he's absolutely massive. So, it's worth pointing out that once his parents stop feeding him, and he sheds into his adult feathers, he's likely to shrink a bit, but still, he's absolutely huge. In the wild, king penguin's biggest threat is arguably humans, specifically the results of climate change. It's estimated that 70% of the current population will be extinct as a result of competition over food. It is also estimated that by the year 2100, half of all king penguins will have lost their breeding grounds as the climate levels rise. They're also threatened by large-scale fishing, which results in both king penguins being caught in nets and increased competition for food. Despite all this, king penguins are not aggressive towards people and are more curious than anything, although too many people will disturb them. As a result, doing fairly well in captivity, the population is very stable, with there being around, and I should point out this is an estimate, 2.3 million breeding pairs. Partly because many of their breeding grounds are now protected sites. Also, the fact that they choose to make their homes on literally rocks in the middle of nowhere. King penguins are classified as vulnerable because while climate change could decimate their numbers. So, that's it. The king penguin, heir apparent to the emperor. Quick reminder, hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed today's feature. Margaret, as always, has curated the next video that you should check out next. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.